Hello there, everybody, and welcome to Module 3, all about our number 2 executive function, emotional regulation. Now, this one is near and dear to my heart. This is one of the executive functions that I struggle with profoundly, and I really hope that this module helps you learn how to cope with it. I know these tools have helped me a lot. So, without further ado, what we are going to talk about today is what positive emotional regulation looks like, what it looks like when your emotions are being well regulated. Some of us have honestly never experienced that, so I think it's important to point out not just red flags of like, this is how you know it's going poorly, but also green flags, like this is what it feels like when it is going well. But of course, we will also talk about the red flags. We're going to talk about 2 variations of problematic emotional regulation. And then we're going to talk about how to cope with executive dysfunction in this area. So, emotional regulation done right. What does that even look like? It primarily looks like validation and processing. Healthy emotional regulation looks like acceptance of all emotions, even the really uncomfortable ones, and feeling your feelings both in your body and your mind. So not over-intellectualizing or numbing out, which we'll get to in a little bit. It also looks like validating yourself and reminding yourself that it is okay to feel. It is okay to feel your feelings and to be an emotional person. Many of us were raised with a narrative that was sort of counter to this and told us, emotions weren't safe, emotions weren't manly, emotions weren't welcome or professional or anything like that. But it turns out you don't have to be manly and professional and all of those other adjectives, especially not when you're all alone in your room and you're just sad. It's okay to just be sad. So, what happens when emotional regulation goes wrong? There are 2 main variations of what this can look like, and I call them drowning and freezing. So, drowning is total emotional flood. You can't process or even accept your emotions because they are coming at you with such force, and you feel completely overwhelmed with shame. Freezing is total emotional shutdown. You can't feel your emotions even when you want to. And this is a really key aspect here because some of us shut down our emotions as a way to cope with them. We say like, I can't focus on you right now. I can't think about you or feel you right now. I'll come back to you later. And if we do come back to the emotion later, then that actually is a really healthy coping mechanism called distraction. And it can help us cope by waiting until the emotion is less powerful to deal with it. But if your emotions are so shut down that you can't access them even when you want to, that is emotional dysregulation, and that is definitely a problem. So both of these variations of problematic emotional regulation rely on one thing, and that is shame. With drowning, there is the shame of feeling too much. We are ashamed of the fact that we feel so strongly and we feel all of these things and we don't know how to process them. And surely this makes us weak. Surely this makes us bad or broken in some deep, fundamental way. And if you tend to go towards the freeze side of things, you might be putting off thinking about the fact that not being able to access your emotions might also make you feel really broken inside. Like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I feel sad even when I know I should be sad? Why can't I feel joy even when I know things are going well? Why can't I feel? What's wrong with me? I think a lot of emotional dysregulation comes back to that question. What's wrong with me? And in truth, the answer is nothing. In truth, the answer is executive dysfunction is what's wrong. It has nothing to do with who you are as a person and everything to do with the way your brain chemistry is working and the way you have been trained to react to the world around you. These are a series of chemical sequences and learned patterns, both of which can be coped with. So let's actually jump into that. How can we cope with emotional dysregulation? Personally, these are the 2 things that I love to do. I love to make a list of soothing behaviors to help cope with or draw out my emotions. So Personally, I tend towards the drowning presentation of emotional dysregulation, but I have experienced the freeze at some points in time. And when I experience the freeze, to draw out my emotions, I will try to journal or do things that I know are going to make me feel something. And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes things are so frozen and shut down that even my soothing activities, they are really better suited to helping me while I'm drowning, right? You know, if I'm drowning, I can look at this list of soothing behaviors to make me feel better. Sometimes it might be helpful to have a separate list, you know, a list for if you're drowning and a list for if you're freezing. And you can just, as you come up with these different strategies for coping, you can just add them to the list. The second way I like to cope is through EFT tapping. So if you haven't heard of this, EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. And EFT tapping is when you tap really specific spots on your body while talking yourself through a difficult emotion. So if you're interested in this, I actually have something linked in the Thinkific portal for you. I have a EFT tapping ultimate bundle that you can purchase with a discount, of course. And that can help you get started on your EFT tapping journey. So this is another really great and powerful way to cope when you are feeling dysregulated, because as you tap, what happens is you are stimulating your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of the nervous system that helps you calm down. And as you stimulate that through the tapping of the different spots, and you're talking through the difficult emotion, that combination is really soothing and it helps you process. And that's what we really need when we're feeling dysregulated. Like I said at the beginning, we need validation and processing. So your homework for the week is to fill out the week 3 worksheet, which is available at the Thinkific portal. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope this was helpful.